Ladies and gentlemen, could you please settle down and take your seats because we'd like to start. A very, very good afternoon, evening to all those present here, and a very warm welcome to all our dignitaries seated on the stage. Starting from the extreme right, we have Malavika Banerjee, the director of the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet, and beside her we have Mr. Chanakya Chaudhary, Vice President Corporate Services, Tata Steel, and beside him we have, I don't have to tell you, this is our Javed Saab, and it's not his first time that Javed Akhtar ji is coming to this meet or to the Victoria Memorial Campus. And seated on the extreme left is Dr. Javed Akhtar, the Secretary and Curator of Victoria Memorial Hall. And all of you who are present in the auditorium today, welcome, because this is the 10th edition of the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet. The edition last year could not be held in this physical space for reasons, as you all know, which we would like to probably erase from our memories. And the Victoria Memorial Hall has been associated with the Kolkata Literary Meet since the year 2015. So it has been a happy and joyous occasion for us to be able to assemble here once again on these spacious lawns of the Victoria Memorial Hall. The 10th edition had to be also deferred from January by 2 months, and we all know why, because in January the environment was not just right to have physical events with gatherings of people over here. But the grit and determination of the organizers of the Kolkata Literary Meet is as strong and unyielding as Tata Steel. So they refused to give up and said, even if it is after 2 months, we will have the 10th edition here in a physical space and get all of you back here for the festival. I would like to now request Dr. Javed Akhtar, the Secretary and Curator of Victoria Memorial Hall, in association with which organization this has been taking place since 2015. So Dr. Sengupta will address the audience. Javed, please.
Sorry. Javed Akhtar Saab, the legend that we are privileged to have with us to inaugurate the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet, Mr. Chanakya Chaudhary, Vice President of Corporate Services at Tata Steel, the Chief Sponsor of the Literary Meet, Ms. Malavika Banerjee, my co-host and Director of the Meet, distinguished participants and guests, ladies and gentlemen. As always, it's a privilege and honor for us to continue to be associated with this meet for the 8th year running, and to be able to listen to these stimulating conversations over 6 days on art, culture, literature, and the creative arts for all of these years. After a sort of 2-year hiatus, it's great to be back here, and with Javed Sahab around, as you can well imagine, it's the perfect screenplay to mark this return to this space. As you can also see, we are not in the same place this year. It's the same meet. We have just moved a little left, which I hope you will all agree with me is just fine. I hope I echo the general sentiment here that over all of these years, the Kolkata Literary Meet has embodied a spirit of conversations made with much verve, vigor, and conviction, but always conducted with civility and a sensitivity to different points of view. because this is what we are. This is what the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet is about, and this is what we will continue to be. And that's all I have to say. Please enjoy the meet. Do come back here for more of these conversations and do participate in them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jayanto. Of course, he made a very significant remark there while he was addressing. He said, for those who would like to read between the lines, he said, we just moved a little more left. Yeah. I would now like to request Mr. Chanakya Chaudhary, Vice President, Corporate Services, Tata Steel, to come and address the audience.
Good afternoon, or actually good evening, Dr. Jayanto Sen Gupta, our partner in progress, Malvika, and Javed Saab. It's a great pleasure for me personally and on behalf of Tata Steel to be back in these lawns. I think for the last close to 1 decade now, we've been associated with this meet. It has actually grown. It started from Kolkata. It's actually grown in the eastern region. We have a series which starts normally at Ranchi, goes to Bhubaneswar, and then we have Kolkata. And our partners, game plan, Malvika personally, they always have a plan and a game. So we were not too sure this year with all the pandemic wave 3 around whether we should have it or not, but she was very determined, and I think we are right here today after we've done the editions at Ranchi and Bhubaneswar. And I'm very happy personally that also that we are celebrating the 100th year, centenary year for Victoria Memorial Hall, which is an amazing achievement, a great round of applause for that. I think it is a historic event in any case, occasion, and also it marks a centenary of the great legends like R.K. Lakshman, Sahir Ludhianvi, and Satyajit Ray. And I think it's a great way of celebrating some of these legends during the literary meet and otherwise. At Tata Steel, as I have said earlier, we've always been associated with art, culture, sports, literature. And when you talk about culture and literature, Kolkata has always been the capital of it. And we are happy that Tata Steel has always been a player settled in the eastern part of the country, has deep roots, started with Jamshedpur, Kolkata, Bengal, and now in Orissa. So we have great roots in all these places. We continue to support these kind of initiatives. And having said that, when I look back at the last 2 years, which is more like a fast forward for when we stand today, I'm so happy to see the number of people who are sitting here in the audience. And I hope all of us continue to be safe, vaccinated, take all the precautions which are necessary, but at the same time, live our lives with what we really believe and celebrate the literature and culture that we all stand for and propagate that so that the generations to come can actually take it forward. Thank you once again and enjoy these 6 days starting from today, which our partners Game Plan have planned out with a lot of musicals, art, culture and literature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chanakya Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary did point out that it's the centenary year of the Victoria Memorial Hall and of R.K. Lakshman and, of course, the legendary Mr. Satyajit Ray. In that context, I would like to mention that it is also the centenary year of Mr. Chidananda Das Gupta, who co-founded the Calcutta Film Society with Mr. Satyajit Ray. You see, the other thing I want to mention is, there is always some kind of a thing which says, what was the most used word in the last year? And it turned out to be that the most used word was connectivity. Yeah? And I also found out that close behind were also words like autocorrect and typo. And these things sometimes can be very hilarious, you know. So one such example I have here right in front of me, because when the event flow was given to me here, I read through it and I left it like that. I didn't correct it because there's a typo, which is probably an autocorrect, which says that after this, Mr. Raman will invite Malavika Banerjee to spark, S-P-A-R-K. So these may be suppressed desires coming to the fore, or reality in some way coming in the form of autocorrect. Yes, she is the spark behind this entire Tata Steel Kolkata literary meet. And it is my great pleasure to invite her to come and speak or spark as she chooses to.
Thank you, Mr. Raman. I was just alluding to our tagline, which says it's got to be lit. So if I have to be the spark, so be it. I would now not want to come between you and Javed Saab. I would like to invite him here to say a few words before signing our canvas and ceremonially starting the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet in association with Victoria Memorial Hall. Yesterday was World Poetry Day, and I cannot think of a more steadfast ally to Kalam than Javed Saab. He has been here from the second edition, and even before we saw him at the festival, his poems and his songs are the ones that taught us to hope, that taught us to love, and helped us through despair. So at a time when the world is slowly getting back to its feet, and we as a festival are learning to walk again, thank you, Javed Saab, for holding our hand this evening. Your friendship to the festival will always be cherished. Over to you.
Thank you, Malvika ji, for your kind and generous words. A very warm hello to all the ladies and gentlemen. I am really thankful, honored that you have invited me this year after a gap of, I suppose, 2 years. Well, I suppose in life, things are not very simple. It is not that you are offered one good and one bad. Obviously, everybody will choose the good and leave the bad. Life offers you packages. And in every package, you have certain bads and certain goods. And the numbers are strange. Like one package will have 5 major goods, 9 medium-sized bads, then 11 very small goods, then 4 big bads. The other one has 9 major goods, 11 medium-sized bads, then 3 small goods, and 4 big bads. You don't know which package is good or which package is bad. That is how life creates situations. Obviously, these last 2 years were extremely testing, difficult, problematic. But at the same time, if you are an optimist, an hardcore optimist, and prefer to see the brighter side of everything, there was certain brighter things. I think people got more time for people who are very important in their life, their family members. They got more time with them. People got more time with themselves. Particularly people who are in creative world, they did much more writing, much more thinking than they would have done otherwise. And somehow we got time to revisit our experiences, to think whatever we have done or we have seen, whatever we have watched, what does it mean? There was a kind of a, when cattle go in the pastures, they just munch the grass without, they just graze it, they don't munch it. But then when they come back to their place, then in the night they sit down and take out that grass in the mouth again, and they munch it then and digest it. We just keep on grazing life, and we have no time to munch it. These 2 years, while on one hand gave us many problems, but on the other hand, they gave us time to munch our experiences, munch our thoughts, and whatever we have observed and experienced. So that way, perhaps, I hope that most of us will come out of this era of non-communication and non-availability of access. We will come out wiser, more mature and stronger. As far as this festival is concerned, where else it could be, except Kolkata, except Bengal, you know. I am from Lucknow. My mother tongue is Urdu. And must share this secret with you, that people whose mother tongue is Urdu, people who are in Urdu literature or interested in Urdu literature, they have a lot of arrogance. They think no end of themselves. They think this is the language in the world. But right from my childhood, I was told that beside our language, there is one more language that has to be respected. Language for its literature, for its aesthetics, for its decency, and that is Bengali. I have, in my childhood, read all classical Bengali literature in Urdu. I know Sharad Babu or Bankim Chand Chatterjee, or even Tagore's poetry that was translated in Urdu, and not by X, Y, or Z, but by extremely important and respected Urdu poets. My own maternal uncle, Majaz, anybody who knows anything about Urdu would know who was Majaz. He was known as the Keats or Shelley of Urdu literature. He has translated Tagore's poetry in Urdu. So that kind of awe, or Sharad Babu, I think my father's generation and my mother's generation were, on one hand, were brought up to a great extent on Bengali literature, which was translated in Urdu, and on the other hand, new theatre had left a very deep impression on them. They knew about Bengali literature and fiction through new theatre also, because they would remember the lines. I was very young, but I remember that my father could quote dialogue from new theatre, and he thought that P.C. Barua was the ultimate filmmaker of this country that time, and Saigal was born to play Devdas and so on and so forth, and Mukti, and so many films I remember that he mentioned. I have never seen them, only because of him. So this Bengali culture, Bengali literature, Bengali aesthetics was highly respected in a society that was extremely parochial, extremely arrogant about their own culture and own literature. We were made to believe that anything that is Bengali is aesthetic, of a standard, subtle, and decent. So that first impression is still with me, and I'm still intimidated when I stand here and talk to this audience. I feel slightly intimidated. It is a fact. I'm so happy, Malvika ji, that it is happening again. And I want to thank my friend Sri Jato that he has translated my poems in Bengali. And actually, it is his evening, not mine, because ultimately, the standard of the book will not be decided by me, but by him. And by you, I suppose. So, it was translated earlier. My first collection, which was Tarkash in Hindi Urdu, was translated in Bengali, and beside N. Rashid, who is a well-known person here, He has passed away. He was in police and he was a writer of great competence. Along with Sunil Da, he had translated my poems. Tunir. It was titled Tunir. But then that was only my first book. Now, Sirijato has translated all the poems that I have written till now, including those which are not even any of my collections. They are unpublished. So he has translated them. The original is also in the book. So I hope that after a little while, we will have that recital and you'll enjoy it. Thank you very much. I have written, hello, is it working? Hello. In Urdu, I have written a very simple message, Bengal ko mera salam. My salute to Bengal.
Thank you, friends. Before we clear the stage for our first session, I would like to thank you all for coming and attending this, and I hope to see you all through the next 6 days. We should be proud of our city. We catch a lot of criticism on many fronts, especially when we compare ourselves to the other Mahanagars, Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, and Bangalore. But ours is the only festival that's up and running, that's happening this year in person. And before this last week, we had the Boi Mela. So this shows us that as a city, when we wish to get back on our feet, when we wish to feel happy about ourselves, and when we want to reconnect with friends, it is through books, it's through literature, and it's through these wonderful authors who have come to festivals such as ours and the Boi Mela. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Enjoy the conversations, and please don't worry about the heat. You will agree with me, we've made a pretty stellar job of keeping you all comfortable. So allow us to do that over the next 6 days. Thank you so much.
The session will start in just about 5 minutes, so stay tuned in. Do not leave your seats.